Shy. Incredibly shy. You were so painfully shy, I think I'd say.
Sophie in high school was very in her shell. So she would wear all gray and black and be all moody.
And then high school, that's where I think she really bossed it.
Sophomore year of high school, I took a graphic design course, and I just fell in love because it was the perfect marriage between art and technology for me. I loved it, and I had a teacher there who saw my passion for design, and she really pushed me.
Like at the time, I could just see you so focused, and I just remember, I don't know why that pumpkin project always stood out to me, but we did that pumpkin project, but I mean, I've learned so much about making a pumpkin since then. But we assigned a pumpkin because it was Halloween, and I just remember you sitting so intently at your computer and just so engrossed in what you were doing. So even then, I mean, you had caught on to what caught your interest, what brought you joy, and what you enjoy, And I think part of it for you too, because of your painfully shy character, you were, I think you enjoyed being kind of like, oh, me and the computer, and like nobody has to ask me anything, or I can just enjoy what I'm doing and not have to interact with anybody.
To be clear, I had friends in high school. However, it's true, I was incredibly shy and a little bit of a recluse. For me, the common thread in all of my creative pursuits was always storytelling and creating characters and creating plot lines and just kind of connecting things. But you stop playing make-believe in middle school and high school, so it was hard to fulfill that need. So when I took graphic design, it felt like some of that joy had been returned. I felt like I was able to begin to tell stories again, and I felt very satisfied.
Her art was very expressive and colorful, so she didn't let herself express herself on the outside, but she'd express herself through her art.
And as an incredibly important time in her life, because she was very quiet, and but she was forced by one of her teachers to take the role of yearbook editor.
I was still relatively new to the staff, or to teaching that. I had nobody to help kids with, or to edit the book and to kind of oversee the content of it. I had good photographers. I had, people that I could teach kids how to lay out, but somebody to actually edit and help with overall content of it. And the fact that it comes in not only just written form, but in visual form. I mean, that's a whole package. And I needed somebody who had all those skills.
And as that sophomore year was ending, she pulled me into her classroom and said, "Hey, Sophie, I need an editor-in-chief for my yearbook next year. And I want you to be it. I want you to be my editor-in-chief for yearbook." And I remember looking at her and I'm like, "Nope, no thanks." And I almost left, and she said, "Hey, no, don't go anywhere." She said, "You have such talent and such ability, but you have no confidence." And that's something that really stuck with me.
But I just knew you were a really good writer, and you were fantastic in design. So it was like, I can't see anybody else being, even if I just asked you to be on staff, that wasn't enough, because you had all the skills, and for you to just come in and only take on one little portion of a bigger project, I felt like that was such a waste of your skills, and your ability to take on the whole project. So the only position I could see you in and I needed you in it, was to take it over.
And I remember pushing back and saying, "I can't do yearbook. I can't be your editor-in-chief. I've never done yearbook before. I'm a junior. The seniors in the class won't listen to me because, high school grade level's a big deal."
That was kind of a gutsy move. I look back on that, I'm like, oh my gosh, these poor staff people who've all been on staff. And I think you told me that too. who've all been on staff and have experience coming back, and here you step in with having no experience and just kind of go over them. You know, I tried to make sure they all realized that you saw all the skills, you had all the skills involved in kind of helping to put the book together. Your storytelling skills in both a written and a visual way, the hardest part, I think, bringing you in was just that I knew I was up against a challenge with your with your shyness and your you know, your being afraid to interact with people, and then to bring you in at that level was even more of a jump for you. So that was huge for you.
But nevertheless, she says she twisted my arm, but I'm grateful for that.
I had to almost break it. I don't think you ever would have. Maybe you would have eventually. You know, God had you on a road, but I think that was a quick way of having you dive into realizing what visual communication was. It wasn't just making pumpkins or designing fun things, you know, having fun with digital tools. There was so much more behind it that you picked up on right away because you were thrown into that yearbook position of having to tell a story in a big way, in a lot of different formats.
And I did yearbook, and I was editor-in-chief for 2 years, and we won some awards, and we produced some really cool things. I think that experience was really significant to me because it showed me that somebody else thought I was capable of leading when I didn't think that of myself at all.
That shape was an incredibly important time when I look at it from a parent's point of view, because you can be very artistic and let people walk over you and do what you know, make you say yes ma'am, whatever. But she was forced to deal with people older than her and give them commands, and I've seen that shape itself in her career moves throughout everything she's done in her career. She would kind of gently force her stand her ground and get her desires of her heart met.
You know, when we align ourselves with God and what He has for our lives and are faithful, and faithful meaning that you trust Him to guide and lead you, I think that He will bring those people in your life, you know, because you're ready. You're like this sponge just waiting for God to do something with what He's given you.